Running the meridians is an exercise that we do at the start of every point location lesson here at the City College of Acupuncture. It's an exercise that enables us to trace the superficial pathway of the acupuncture channels on the body as they flow one into the next. I'm going to demonstrate this exercise 3 times. Once at a beginner's level, which is very detailed, once at an intermediate level, and once at an advanced level, where it can be practiced as a piece of Qigong every day to ensure that Qi is flowing smoothly from channel to channel. This is the beginner's level of running the meridians. The lung channel starts 1 sun inferior to the hollow of the deltopetroral triangle. The channel then descends on the lateral border of biceps brachii, crosses the transverse cubital crease just lateral to the tendon of biceps brachii, descends the forearm, moves slightly laterally, and then passes through the wrist joint across the thenar eminence to the radial aspect of the thumb. The large intestine channel starts on the radial aspect of the index finger, ascends the radial aspect of the hand, passes through the anatomical snuff box, comes along the lateral edge of the radius, passing at the lateral end of the transverse cubital crease, ascending to the anterolateral aspect of the shoulder, crossing the trapezius, the sternocleidomastoid, and onto the face below the mouth. It then comes back round the mouth and crosses below the nose to terminate on the nasolabial groove on the other side of the face. The lung channel starts 1 sun inferior to the hollow of the deltopetroral triangle, comes up through the deltopetroral triangle, descends the lateral border of biceps brachii, crosses the transverse cubital crease lateral to the tendon of biceps brachii, descends the forearm, deviating slightly at the styloid process, passes through the anterior aspect of the wrist joint, comes across the thenar eminence to terminate on the radial aspect of the thumb. The large intestine channel starts on the radial aspect of the index finger. It comes along the radial aspect of the hand, passes through the anatomical snuff box, along the lateral edge of the radius, passing the lateral end of the transverse cubital crease. It comes through the anterolateral aspect of the shoulder, comes across the trapezius, across the sternocleidomastoid, onto the face below the mouth, circles round back, across the mouth, inferior to the nose to terminate on the nasolabial groove on the other side of the face. From here, we move up to the inacanthus and into the midpoint of the infraorbital margin to pick up the stomach channel, which descends lateral to the nose, encircles the mouth, swoops round the jaw anterior to the ear, and terminates up on the corner of the head. A branch separates at the jaw and descends lateral to the thyroid cartilage, moves out to the midpoint of the clavicle, and then descends at 4 sun lateral to the anterior midline on the ribs. When we get to the abdomen, it moves medially to descend at 2 sun lateral to the anterior midline, all the way down to the pubic bone, where it moves laterally again to descend the lateral aspect of the thigh and lower leg to terminate on the lateral aspect of the second toe. Spleen channel starts at the medial aspect of the big toe, comes up the medial aspect of the leg and the thigh, comes up the lateral border of rectus abdominis, comes all the way up to pass through lung 1 before descending to terminate in the 7th intercostal space below the apex of the axilla. From the end of the spleen channel, we come to the heart channel, which starts in the apex of the axilla, which is the highest part of the armpit. The heart channel descends on the medial border of biceps brachii, passes the medial end of the transverse cubital crease, comes down the forearm and passes laterally to the pisiform bone, crosses the palm and terminates on the radial aspect of the little finger, where it flows into the small intestine channel, which starts on the ulnar aspect of the little finger. The small intestine channel travels along the ulnar aspect of the hand and the arm, comes up the back of the arm, it sweeps across the scapula, it comes in between the sternocleidomastoid and the angle of the mandible, which is the jaw. It comes onto the face below the outer canthus of the eye and inferior to the zygomatic arch and moves back to the ear. The heart channel starts in the apex of the axilla. It moves down the medial border biceps brachii, passing the medial end of the transverse cubital crease. It descends the forearm, passing radial to the pisiform bone. It comes across the palm to terminate on the radial aspect of the little finger. From here it flows into the small intestine channel and the ulnar aspect of the little finger. It then ascends the ulnar aspect of the hand and the arm, the back of the arm. It sweeps across the scapula. It comes in between the sternocleidomastoid and angle of the mandible. It comes onto the face, below the zygomatic arch, and moves back to the ear. A branch separates from the small intestine channel and then moves just medial and superior to the inner canthus for the start of the bladder channel. The bladder channel is formed by two lines coming over the top of the head and neck, and then two lines down either side of the back, passing through the sacrum and moving down the posterior midline of the leg to pass posterior and inferior to the lateral malleolus. The channel then passes through the lateral aspect of the little toe and comes under the sole of the foot for the kidney channel to start. The kidney channel comes up the most medial aspect of the lower leg and the thigh. On the abdomen, it ascends just half a sun lateral to the anterior midline until we get to the rib cage, where it moves out to 2 sun lateral to the anterior midline. It then ascends all the way up to the base of the clavicle. A branch separates from the kidney channel and moves lateral to the nipple in a male in the 4th intercostal space for the start of the pericardium channel. The pericardium channel descends through the 2 heads of biceps brachii, comes down the anterior midline of the arm, and terminates at the tip of the middle finger. From the pericardium channel, we move to the Sanjiao channel, which starts on the ulnar aspect of the 4th finger. The Sanjiao channel ascends between the 4th and 5th metacarpal. It ascends the dorsum of the arm, comes up to the posterolateral aspect of the shoulder, comes across the trapezius and up the back of the sternocleidomastoid, coming round behind the ear to terminate at the lateral aspect of the eyebrow. Pericardium channel starts in the 4th intercostal space, just 1 sun lateral to the nipple in a male. It descends between the 2 heads of biceps brachii down the anterior midline of the arm to terminate at the tip of the middle finger. The Sanjiao channel starts on the ulnar aspect of the 4th finger. This channel ascends between the 4th and 5th metacarpals, ascends the dorsum of the arm, comes through the posterolateral aspect of the shoulder, comes across the trapezius, and comes up the back of the sternocleidomastoid, pads around behind the ear, and terminates on the lateral aspect of the eyebrow. From here, the channel descends to start with the gallbladder, which starts just lateral to the outer canthus. The gallbladder channel goes back to the ear, above the zygomatic arch, and up onto the corner of the head. It moves back to the occiput, it comes to the brow, and then back to the occiput again, across the top of the trapezius, all the way down the side of the torso, deviating slightly at the buttocks, moves down the most lateral aspect of the legs, all the way down to the lateral aspect of the 4th toe. The liver channel starts at the lateral aspect of the big toe, ascends the medial aspect of the leg and thighs, wraps around the external genitalia, passing close by the free end of the 11th rib, and terminates the 6th intercostal space, 4 sun lateral to the anterior midline. From here, the liver channel will ascend to join the lung channel, and the process starts again.